Well, the federal government has appealed to the Nigeria Labour Congress and Trade Union Congress to call off the strike as negotiation continues. Our senior political reporter Ademola Lawrence now has details.
With the ongoing strike by the labor unions in the 36 states of the Federation, which has affected schools, hospitals, banks, and the national grid, the federal government appeals to labor unions to continue along the path of negotiations with the federal and state government under the auspices of the tripartite committee that have been established to fashion out a new realistic minimum wage for the Nigerian people.
We are desirous of a very peaceful outcome, and we will do everything to make this happen. Yesterday, the leadership of the National Assembly met with the unions. Today, we have offered yet another invitation to the unions to meet with us and continue our discussions. We will continue to engage and continue to make ourselves available in the context of these negotiations on behalf of Nigerian people.
The minimum wage is not only for public sector's workers, it will be binding on the private sector as well. This reality will be factored into the negotiations.
Union and organized private sector and of course government side to come to conclusion, because we can't allow our nation to get into crisis. As we speak, what has happened today has brought a lot of hardship in Nigerians, and we can everybody is feeling it. Both the people that can't eat unless they get out of their house to find something to eat. People are hurting, and if we are going to help the people who are hungry, we shouldn't make it more hard for them. So,
for the federal government, the president is firmly committed to doing what is right, reasonable and sustainable regarding the minimum wage negotiations. Ademola Lawrence, TVC News, Abuja.
Our correspondents covered the story across the country earlier today. Let's begin with Joke Adisa, a National Assembly correspondent, for updates on the nationwide strike today. Joke, what was compliance like in those areas you visited?
Well, as far as the government agencies are concerned, compliance was very, very high. The compliance level was high. We saw labor leaders going around to ensure that there was compliance. That one we can tell across government agencies that we visited. The National Assembly, the Supreme Court, all the courts generally. So everywhere that government's presence is felt, there was compliance. But coming to the private sector side, entrepreneurs, traders, markets, they are open, and it did not even look as if they were even aware of any strike. But majorly, we saw high level of compliance across government agencies.
There was an 11th hour intervention by the leadership of the National Assembly. That did not stop the strike from going on. But talk to us about how this strike has affected the operation of lawmakers and how they are reacting on Thursday.
Well, lawmakers don't sit on Mondays, so they may not even have been that affected. They could, of course, but the truth also is that no one was allowed into the premises today. But by tomorrow, we'll be able to see whether or not the Parliamentary Staff Association of Nigeria, the workers at the National Assembly, will be able to allow them entrance into the National Assembly. But as we speak now, we are at between the National Assembly and the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, where the meeting between government and organized labor is currently going on. This is much that we can stay. This is where we can stay, because from here we are not allowed, because media, newsmen are not allowed to be part of that meeting. So from what we are, at about 5:30 that the meeting started, we're still hoping, we're still looking forward to see when this meeting will end. I've been chatting with some of them, some of the labor leaders in the meeting, but they've not been able to respond to tell us what exactly is going on. But of course, we can be sure that as soon as that meeting ends, we'll get details of the meeting.
Thank you for the update. National Assembly correspondent. Let's turn now to our State House correspondent, Femi Akonde. We understand that the presidency has reacted and there's an ongoing meeting between the federal government and organized labor. What more are you learning about that meeting, Femi?
That meeting is chaired by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume, and our correspondent, Joki Adisa, just reported from the venue of that meeting that is ongoing. That 37-man committee set up or inaugurated by the Vice President sometime in January to help fashion out Nigeria's new national minimum wage. Well, they've had their ups and downs. At some point, the organized labor even had to walk out of that meeting because they are saying that, well, the federal government is reluctant to meet them halfway. But, you know, now they have made through their threats to down tools, and we have seen the significant compliance with the order of the Nigerian Labour Congress. That's their order calling for a strike action. And we're also hearing from the federal government insisting that that strike action called by the Nigerian Labour Congress is illegal because there is a subsisting court order by the National Industrial Court restraining the NLC from going on strike or crippling the economic activities in the country. Well, that's the legality of the matter. But the most important thing for the federal government now is to see how labor can be pacified, and, you know, maybe they would reach a middle ground and all of this strike will be called off. If I mean.
State House correspondent Femi Akonde live for us in Abuja. Let's get more updates on this developing story. I'm joined by Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga. Also joining me is a member of the Non-Academic Staff Union of Educational and Associated Institutions, Abdurrashid Rabana. Let's begin with Mr. Rabana. Has your union joined the strike yet?
Yes, we are in the strike presently.
So I'm sure you're following conversation about the need to strike a measured and realistic balance in arriving at the new minimum wage. How realistic is the demand from organized labor?
Yeah, the demand from the organized labor is very, very realistic, considering the level of inflation we have in this country. To start with, what the government or federal government is offering is very, very, it's just unthinkable. Now imagine, no matter how close your house is to your office in Nigeria today, averagely, you will spend 1,000 naira a day to go to work and get back. For 22 days, that's already 22,000 naira. And no matter how much you can manage yourself, at least a meal will meet you at the office. Because you are supposed to work from 8 till 4, at least a meal will meet you at the office. For you to have a meal today, not a meal that will get you satiated, but a meal just for you to feel like you have taken something, will not cost you anything less than 1,000 naira as well. Put the two together, already you are spending 44,000 naira just to keep yourself going to the office.
I hear you, Mr. Rabana, but are you,
yes,
is Labour concerned about the additional hardship this strike is bringing to the same workers it's fighting for?
Yeah, you see, unfortunately, the Labour has even indulged the government for too long. Whatever hardship is coming as a consequential effect of this strike action should be blamed on the federal government. We have been in this situation for over a year. And for any government to even think that the Nigerian worker will survive on the hold rate for a year now is just unacceptable. Remember that immediately they came up with this hardship, they immediately increased their own allowances and wages. But the Nigerian civil servant, the Nigerian workers have been kept on the same wage, knowing fully well that things have gone up by more than 600, 800%. How do they think we've been surviving? For us, it is callousness of the highest order from this government. And they are not really willing. There's no genuine willingness from this government to address the issue.
Let us hear from the government right now. Just hold that thought a bit. The special advisor to the president on the information and strategy, Bayo Onanuga, has also joined us. Mr. Onanuga, what Organized Labour is saying is that government hasn't shown so much goodwill from 48 to 54 and now 60,000 naira, which they say is even smaller than what federal workers, were getting as at February when government was paying 35,000 wage award. How do you react to this?
Well, what I will say first of all is that the government has really shown some good faith about the plight of our workers. After the subsidy was removed on May 29 last year, the government began to roll out a series of meetings with labor and began to roll out a lot of palliatives. And one of them is the wage award, which started, I think, in October 2023. It's for 6 months. So that increased the level of income that the lowest paid worker was taking home by 35,000 naira every month. And government has also rolled out so many things to help to give succor to our workers. The subsidy removal did not just affect workers, it affects everybody living in this Nigerian space. It's not only workers. What I expect Labour to do is not to be acting as if it's an enemy of government. Labour should see itself as a partner of the federal government of Nigeria, not as an adversary of the federal government. And should be open-minded.
Onanuga, if I can jump in, is what happens now, because in a single day we have seen the national grid shut down, we've seen hospitals, even banks shut down, passengers at the airports were stranded. How is the federal government reacting?
Well, the Labour should be thankful to the Almighty God that we are not in a military regime, we are in a civilian regime, a democratic regime that will not do things, will not crack down on labor for what they've done. I think they overstepped their bounds by shutting down the national grid. There are certain, when you go on strike, there are certain no-go areas. You can't go and shut down the national grid. You cannot say doctors who are supposed to take care of the sick that they should not go to the hospital. You cannot shut down the water works. You cannot, in fact, you are not supposed to shut down the airport. And you are not supposed to shut down everybody else. You see, any strike is supposed to be voluntary. If Labour, either TUC or NLC, declares a strike action, if I'm a member of any of those central unions, I have the democratic right to say, I want to go to work, even though you have said you should not go to work. Because, number one, when they were declaring the strike, did the labor unions hold a referendum among their workers? The way it is done in civilized countries of the world. Let's go for the vote. Let's see whether 100% of the workers will support a strike action. So if they don't support, if you do a referendum, they don't support, or maybe 60% support, it means that you cannot ask everybody to stay at home. Some will like to go to work, they have the right to go to work. You can't say you want to go, like they do today, go and beat them out of their offices or something, go to the tarmac, stop a plane from flying, and so on, disrupt everything. Go to the national grid, shut it down. At the time you are complaining that we don't have enough power. Yeah. I think those acts are extreme.
Are you insinuating that federal government would shift ground with the enforced compliance that we have seen?
No, I'm not insinuating anything. I'm just saying, I'm trying to say that the labor should behave more responsibly anytime they call out workers on a strike. As I'm talking now, I cannot even say anything that would be contrary to the spirit that is now on the table at the meeting with the SGF. Labor people are there, the organized private sector people are there, the government people are there. It's a tripartite kind of a meeting that's going on. Everybody's trying to find a common ground, so I don't want to set fuel into anything. What I'm here today is just to appeal to labor There are a lot of things they are not getting right. They cannot be asking for what they are asking for. It's totally unrealistic.
I hear you, Mr.
494,000 naira. It can never happen.
Yes. Let me bring in Mr. Rabana, who's also, on this conversation. Mr. Onanuga is asking for a more responsible reaction from Labour. Do you think that both federal government can meet at the middle between 60 and 495? What do you consider a responsible figure right now?
Thank you so much. Please let me just start by saying that the way Mr. Onanuga even started shows the kind of mentality of the people advising the federal government at this present point in time. He said we should count ourselves lucky that we were not in the military era. For information, even in the military era, we had shutdown like this. And Nigeria did not collapse because of it. We were not wiped out because of it. Having said that, I want to ask Mr. Onanuga, what amount the federal government is offering to a family man now, a man with a wife with children? Do you give such a pitiable amount as allowance to even your own children in school? That's a fact. We need to have some of these political office holders, how much they give to their own children as pocket money. But now they are offering a family man working for 30 days, that kind of a miserable amount at this present day in Nigeria. Besides that, they are making us laughing stock of other African countries around us. They should go out and sample opinion of the minimum wage in Benin Republic, minimum wage in Nigeria, minimum wage in Cameroon as compared to our whole minimum wage.
All right.
The fact is this, we are not unreasonable. If we need to question the reasonability of any of the parties here, it is the reasonability of the federal government that should be put to question. It's a very, very simple question. How can anybody think a Nigerian person, a family man with wife and children, will survive on 60,000 naira a month? I have just broken some things down here now. We have the indices. No matter how close, averagely you spend 1,000 naira on transportation now to your workplace, to and through your workplace. That's 22,000 naira per month. You will feed at your workplace at least once. One meal will cost you nothing less than 1,000 naira. That is even a minimum one. That's another 22,000 naira. Put it together, you have taken 44,000 naira out of your salary. So they are saying that the remaining 16,000 naira should be what you should use to pay your house rent, take care of your children. It is unfortunate. We cannot accept this. They might look at some of us as not being patriotic, but the question of patriotism is even on them, not on us.
All right.
They should go and shed themselves of the excesses they are paying themselves for now and take care of the Nigerian people.
Mr. Rabana.
They are earning as wages can pay more than 1,000 Nigerian workers. In fact, 2,000 Nigerian workers, what they earn per month.
All right.
So why should they be earning that much? If they love Nigerian as much as they are claiming, then they should shed their own excesses.
Gentlemen,
they should lock the country pipe from their own side.
We have to go now. Let me just get Mr. Onanuga's comment. What intervention should Nigerians, expect from the federal government, especially seeing what has happened today?
Well, I think the Labour man that just spoke, I don't know whether what he was talking about, saying that what government offered is too small and blah blah blah. That is not totally correct. The negotiation continues. As we are talking, they are still negotiating. By the time the NLC did not turn up on Friday for another round of negotiation, the NLC until did not even know what government was going to come up with. They just stormed out of the meeting. They didn't come on the meeting, even though we were advised to come for that meeting. As I said, I don't want us to speculate on what is being decided now. What I know is that government is offering more money for the workers. This government is not unreasonable, as with apology to what the other guy said. Government is offering, is topping whatever it has offered as of now at the meeting they are holding at the SGF progresses. So the NLC and the TUC ought to have waited for the negotiation to conclude before leaving the negotiation, before going to declare what I consider, like the Attorney General said, a premature strike. Today's strike, absolutely unwarranted, because government has not been given enough time to say this is our final offer before they storm out, before they call workers on strike, shut the national grid, and did all kinds of atrocious things that no government actually should really tolerate.
That's about the time. Mr. Bai Onanuga is Special Advisor to President Tinubu on Information and Strategy, who's also been speaking with Abdul Rashid Lawal Rabana, who's a member, Non-Academic Staff Union of Educational and Associated Institutions. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us on the news of this hour. Coming up on TVC News at 7, Chairman of the